Welcome to the Easy Project. It's Eddie and Zeb. We've got a special guest on here, my man, Isaac John.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me. Got the man. He's finally up here in the Goldie. Been chasing this dude for a long time, bro.
For the start of our first episode, we wanted him on.
Just straight away texted him, hey, bro, can you do a potty with us?
I said yes, though.
He said yes. He said yes.
Screenshot.
Yeah. Nah, we kept it in the memory bank. But it's good to see you up here. But before we start, we always start with the flowers, man. So, man, I put a lot of effort into this, bro. All right, bro.
Can you read?
Yes, I can read. I'm improving my reading, by the way. I can. Okay. Isaac John, also known as Ice, hails from Tokoroa, a small town near Rotorua in New Zealand. Growing up in a rugby-loving community, Isaac naturally gravitated towards rugby league and eventually made his mark as a professional player. He began his rugby league career at New Zealand Warriors before moving over to the Super League to play for the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats.
Let's not bring that up, man.
Before returning to the NRL, where he would play for the Penny Panthers and the Manly Sea Eagles. He would reach the pinnacle in 2014 when you represented New Zealand Kiwis at an international level, showcasing your skills on one of the rugby league's biggest stages. Wow. Additionally, you would represent the Cook Islands in the 2013 World Cup. That's where we met,
What happened?
Some bad leadership.
Further highlighting your versatility, talent, and deep connection to your heritage. After retiring from professional rugby league, you would transition into the business world, where you co-founded You Know the Rules, a lifestyle and clothing brand that reflects a passion for sports, fashion, and content creation. You Know the Rules started as a way for yourself, Corey Norman, and James Segura to share your journey post-sports and inspire others. The brand has since grown significantly. Fuck, my reading's bad. Branching out into podcasting and media production. You're also known for your entrepreneurial spirit and influence. Ice continues to engage the audience through social media, sharing candid discussions about life after sports, mental health, and challenges of entrepreneurship. Wow, sorry, bro. That was an essay, but welcome to the Easy Project.
Thanks,
man.
Come on, bro. Thanks, boy. Shout out Wikipedia too.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, copy and paste.
No. That's
See?
That's ChatGPT. Let me down. Sorry.
100%.
What's been happening, bro?
Off the cuff stuff now.
Nah, bro. Just moved up to the Gold Coast recently. It's kind of always been the plan to get up here. Yeah. I kind of got to a point in life where like I was so like ambitious and like Sydney's the vibe for that. I think Sydney serves its purpose. And I know you guys live there, but when you move there, I think it's fun, especially when you're playing football. Like you've got 25 mates and you get close with a lot of people and caught up in the lifestyle, and I was like a part of that lifestyle and I loved it. And then obviously when you move into business and entrepreneurship, it's like fast and everyone's moving and everyone's ambitious and it's a cool environment to be around, but like everything's got like a downside to it as well. And just got to a point in life where I kind of felt like I was missing out on true parts of life and friendships, and like I looked around, all my mates had kind of moved away, kind of just like, I need a change here. And I spent a bit of time up here. I had a girlfriend up here like last year. So I spent a lot of time up here and got mates up here. So here I am. I just go, fuck it, I'm moving. And here I am, bro.
Man, that's hectic, bro. Was it hard to move? Was it hard for you to be like, I'm coming up?
Nah. I reckon if you asked me probably like 2-3 years ago, I'll be like, I want to live in Bondi for the rest of my life. Yeah. And I kind of wanted to live between there and Bali. But yeah, like I sort of said before, just got to a point where like you were successful on your own, but you had like no one to share it with. And I know you guys got families, but like I've been single too. So like my shared experiences through life had always been with my friends. And then like life happens, like boys fall in love and get engaged and start their own lives. And then I'm just on this journey of like, let me climb this mountain as high as I can and make as much money as I can. And then you start climbing up the mountain and you look around and you're like, fuck, I got no one to like share it with. So it was kind of like the realization moment for me where, I just like something needs to change now, or else I'm gonna be like old, rich, but like lonely as fuck. And that's probably the one thing I didn't want to be.
True. So, are you on that path now, though, to trying to settle down?
Not so much settle down. Like I recently went through like a breakup, and just learning about that experience through breaking up. A lot of times when I've broken up with people in the past or girls from the past, I've always been sweet because I've got like a ego about me that protects me. And I think I learned this through football, and you guys will be able to understand this, where like in football, you have to build up like a psychological wall around you, and you do it as like a safety mechanism. And like my career was never that great, but I was always injured, but I feel like I was always a good teammate. I feel like I always trained hard, but a lot of the times I suppressed a lot of emotions. And that helped me in football. So when I moved into business, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the exact same. Whenever business pressure comes, or I'm just going, boom, wall goes up. And then like I'm sweet, like I stop things from coming into me, but the downside of that is like you stop things from going out as well. So you build up this wall around you, and just like all your feelings go like that. But once that wall drops, like it drops hard. And I went for a breakup recently, and I was at a point in life where like I started thinking about like, oh, potentially like I could see myself with this girl for a long time. And it was the first time I went for a breakup where I actually like felt it. And it took me a while to feel it, to be honest. Like, because when it first started, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be sweet. And then 3 weeks later, wall comes down, and you actually have to like feel those emotions. And I guess why they call it feelings, because you actually have to feel them. But then when I got through that, and I was just trying to learn about that whole experience. So whenever I fuck up or whenever I fail, I always think like, how can I learn from this experience? And I always go through books and self-education and mentors. So I'm kind of just going through that phase now. And I think if I jumped into a relationship now, I'd be the same person. If you go into the same relationship with the same person, you're going to get the same results, bro. So I don't think I've fully processed it and learned it. So I'm just trying to like, just be the best version of myself, level up in like training and fitness and business. And I think over time, the right person will come.
Do you reckon your circles change over the relationship like you've been with? Like,
it has to. It has to. It has to change in every aspect in life. Like when you're playing football, like you get along with the same dudes because you're doing the same things. And I got to a point where like we used to just talk about girls, partying, gambling, and these are the same conversations that used to go round and round and round. And I found myself starting to get bored. So like I picked up reading when I was playing football and photography, which was really weird at the time. It's cool now, like all the boys do it, and I was doing that shit and everyone was like laughing at me.
Bro, you're the OG.
Bro, OG,
yeah. And even like in Cook Islands, like I used to have like GoPros, and I was like, and I used to like to think of myself as someone different. Because when I used to go, I'd never go out and go, I'm a football player. Like I'd just say, like I'm into books, or like just trying to sound try and sound vibey, but I was doing the exact same shit all the footballers were doing. I was partying, I was fucking on benders and chasing girls, but just I thought in my mind I was a little bit different, which I was. What was the original question? Oh, the circle of friends. But like you just grow, bro. So like I started reading heaps of books, and then I'll go to coffee with the boys, and I'd be like, trying to like tell them what I'm learning in books, and all the boys just switch off, you know what I mean? So I just started to move towards different circles where I could have intellectual conversations on the same level, because I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn. And I started hanging around business people and hearing their stories. And one of the first stories I heard was from Nate Miles, actually. And he was running F45s at the time, and I thought he was fucking like cool as. I was like he's playing Origin, he's running businesses. I was like, bro, you're the man. So I used to latch on to Nate straight away, and he'll talk about stories about Crawley, like the Valley guy, Zane Road boys. And we'll be in the car, and he'll jump on the phone call, and he'll ring Leif Tony from Zane Road. And he's like, what are you up to? He goes, oh, bro, I'm just flying to LA. I'm over there for a week for like a bit of business. I'll be back, and we'll go for like dinner. And like, shit like that. I'm like, fuck, that's cool. Like, so that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be at a point where I could travel and do whatever I wanted, but I was working on something I cared about.
Do you reckon while you were playing during that time, when did it kick into gear when you knew, like, I'm starting to, obviously you're reading the books and that, did you know that you were like, I want to be in that stage, or was it that conversation with Nate Miles?
No, it was actually, I don't know if it was this is the first time I went to Bali, bro, and I just felt trapped in football. Like I knew my heart wasn't fully in it. Like I just finished like playing Kiwis and Cook Islands, and I was probably making the most money I'd made in football. But I was like, I hated going to training. Like I enjoyed being around the boys and stuff like that. Didn't really love playing football altogether. Like I just got to a point where like I was over it. But I had like mad imposter syndrome, because I thought like this has been my dream since I was like 5-6 years old. Everyone that is our age wants to be a football player, but they're working like normal jobs. And I was like lucky enough, not lucky, you're never lucky to make it, but I was in a position where I made it, and I was like, this was my dream. But then it wasn't my dream anymore, and it took me a while to admit it to myself. So like even like when I was playing Kiwis, I was like out there and I was going, I didn't really feel too much. Like I was pumped for my parents because they'd put in all the effort. My mum flew over, and my dad was a big part of my development and Quade's development growing up, because he was always my coach. Like I was more pumped for them, but I didn't really feel anything,
Yeah,
which was weird.
That's crazy, man. Like, man, with that, like we talk about the proudest moments of your career, surely that'd be up there. But like,
I felt more in line when I was hearing the Cook Island national anthem than the Kiwi national anthem, which is weird.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, lost to the boys, but is that what you're going to bring up?
I was waiting for this.
Every time we talk about like the Cook Islands,
like, do you know I fucking hate Sifa, bro? He always brings it up, bro. He's mad. I was like, fuck, just let it go, man.
Yeah, just let it go, man.
But I haven't.
How depressed were we, guys? How depressed were we? Like after that game, like we're just thinking, bro, what do we do now?
Yeah,
the World Cup's over.
Bro, there's literally 2 games in my life that I regret, and like that was one of them, and the other one was when I was in 20s. We lost to Brisbane Broncos in our 20s semi-grand final. We lost on the hooter, bro. They kicked it through, bounced off, and scored. And this is like Lexi and the boys. Yeah. And I remember that. And I remember like trying to process this a little bit later. And the reason why I reckon those ones hurt the most is because like when you looked around your whole team, like they were similar. You know what I mean? So when you're in 20s, no one's on any money. Everyone's trying to make it. You're all the same age. Like when you go into first grade, there's guys that are 35 and like you're just coming in, you know what I mean? So everyone's on different wavelengths, they're married. When you're in 20s, everyone's on the same level. And then when you jump in like in your national teams and like, you know, everyone's been brought up the same. And you don't even have to know like their family or their upbringing, but you've automatically got a connection there because he's Cook Island. Like we grew up similar, like kiss your nana on the cheek, got a bit of stubble on there, like it's all good. We hear drums, we taste the food. And it's hard to explain culture to like businesses and people, but when you play for your culture, you don't have to explain it because it's already there. And that's why I reckon those 2 games are the ones like I felt like lost the most.
Still hurts, man.
And we didn't deserve to win because we're like partying, you know what I mean? But like just stuff like that, like I think about.
Bro, honestly, like I can remember the feeling back then. I had all these young kids. Like I thought I was established. Like, but I was still young in the brain, just like, you know, all for a good time. But like I wasn't even the skipper to start off with. It was Tinilau. He was the skipper. Then it got taken off him.
Worst skipper, man.
It got taken off him, and then you know, Fairley goes, mate, you're gonna have to skip with this squad. And then I'm like there, and he goes, man, we had Dylan Napa, you know, bro, like
he asked me, he goes, do you want to like be a captain? I'm like, nah. Because like I knew what I was doing, but like behind the scenes too. So you know what I mean? Like
asked, like Tackers as well. We asked Tackers, I'm sure, and I think he turned it down. Bro, I was just good. Yeah,
but we were young.
That was so young.
But you guys had a young squad, man. I remember seeing your team on the paper, and I was telling the American boys, we're getting pumped, boys. We're getting pumped, boys.
You just gotta play the perfect game, man. It was like 0 mistakes, man. It was
we ended up winning one game.
And then like
Wales.
we should have beat Tonga too, like the next
that
week.
was a good game.
You should have won that game.
Chris, fresh dude. He was trying to score the try runner in the corner, slipped out the hands. Fuck.
I don't know.
Who was the gun in that game? Chris Taripo, Bro, like a young kid, like played on the wing, bro. Like honestly, carving up Daniel Tupou.
Yeah, he jumped over Tupou, which
it was crazy, man. That's some big words there, carving up. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, one of the most established wingers in the game.
Yeah, I know.
But like, sort of go back to your question. Like, I just felt like I didn't belong in football anymore. Like, I didn't really enjoy the aspects of the game that I used to love. Like, I used to love like video. I used to love everything about it, man. And I always thought I'd head into coaching. Like when I was my last year at Manly, Trent Barrett tried to get me into coaching. He goes, like you can have the like 20 side next year. And then like wherever I go, like you can come along. And Ivan used to say the same thing about me with coaching.
True.
But it's just something I never wanted to do because I was like at that age I was like 26, and I was still like going out and partying and shit like that. So I just wanted freedom. Yeah, I feel like I got to a point where, you know what football's like, bro. You're told what to do, where to be, how to play. If we complete at 90%, we've got a like good chance of winning. Like, you know, you kick to that corner, blah blah blah. And like, because I played in halves, like a lot of it's like technical, and then like you got to be at the airport at this time and wear that polo, and when you speak here, you got to say this. Now at that time, I'd read a lot of books and information. I felt like I was a bit more of a free thinking person that wanted to express myself in different ways, and that was through words and that was through creativity. And I just felt like football was restricting that. And I wasn't good enough of a player to go, like, I can do whatever I want because I wasn't playing well enough to do whatever I want. So I was just like, fuck, I'm out.
Did you pick, do you know when you started read, did you just pick up a book and just went, Am I missing something here? Or
My mum was big on education. So like Islander dad was always my coach. Like we were running like block plays and cut plays like when we were like 9, 10 years old. Like we were small, but we were like really skillful team. We didn't lose. We lost about 4 or 5 games in like 10 years.
yeah,
But my mum was always big on education. So she's like, you have to do well in school. She goes,
Yeah.
I know you're smart. Like, I know you can get by, but we really want you to do really well. So if I didn't do well in school, like I couldn't play footy.
yeah,
So that was kind of always like the basic like rules at home. Like I had to do well in school, had to do well in football as well. And there's expectations of me to be that. So I would always love education. Like I was good at school. Reading was like, could read at a decent pace. But when I started playing Warriors, I ended up snapping my ACL. Petrociverniciva dived at my leg at Penrith.
Yep.
That'll do it. And then I was like, at that time, football was everything.
yeah.
So when football's your everything and they take football away from you, like you feel like the whole world's like falling apart. And it's not true. It's just like
Yeah.
a small part. Like people get injured every week. And Michael Luck, who was our lock at the time, and if you watch Michael Luck play, you'd be like, fuck, he's like not the smartest dude in the world. His head's always in the wrong place.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? He just plays the game in such a
dude.
tough way.
Yeah.
But he was like the smartest guy at the Warriors and like by a mile. And so I used to always hang out with him when we'd have coffees because I lived with Jake Lillyman. And them two were mates from North Queensland. And Jake was the man. Like he taught me so much about like life and like just being respectful. And one thing I learned from Jakey was like he'd always put effort into people. So say he's coming here to meet you, he'd jump online, find out where you're from, and then he'll dive in a little bit deeper. And say he always wanted like a little joke with you, but he'll make a reference that only you could understand.
Yeah.
And I used to watch him
That's
do
mad.
that. Yeah, it was cool, bro. And
That's
especially like when you're like a North Queensland white boy and you come into Auckland and there's like Tongans and like heaps of Islanders, bro. But he was always everyone's favourite teammate because he took the time to learn. Like he'd learn a random Samoan word or a random Tongan word and just say it to the boys, and the boys start cracking up. And you know, you just need that one laugh, and you're part of the crew.
Good, eh?
But Michael Luck gave me my first couple books to read when I snapped my ACL. And it was like, It's Not About the Bike from Lance Armstrong. Because when you're on the stationary bike for like 6 months, like you got to learn to love it. And it was the first time someone gave me perspective in life where it's like, it's not always about football. So I was reading about Lance Armstrong before he got done for doping, and he gone through cancer, and he come back and he won Tour de France, and then he gave me like 2 other books to read after that, and then kind of after that I was like hooked.
I remember when we were at the World Cup, I used to like, you were in the room next to us. I used to go in there just to see this guy just reading. He was reading Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
And I was
yeah,
going,
yeah, yeah.
Man, I was going, bro, it's a good book. Bro, you know what? The next, I remember you reading that, and I guess, oh man, I need to do something because we had so much spare time. I went down to the bookstore, bought the Usain Bolt book. I started reading that, bro, like, and it was crazy to see you were doing it back then in 2013. You know what I mean? Like, reading's so powerful. Like, I still try to read now. It helps with the mind, eh?
Oh, for sure.
Like self-development and all that kind of stuff. Like what you preach during, like through social media now, that's mad. Like, it's definitely from all the books and all that, and obviously experiences as well.
Yeah, you think about like Alex Ferguson, for example. Like, if you got the opportunity to podcast him, would you take it?
Yeah,
100%.
Oh, for sure. So like, there's a book that's cost $20.
Yeah.
That's written about his whole life.
Yeah.
You just got to take the time to read it.
Yeah.
And you're going to get all that knowledge. But I remember reading that book and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And like one of the big ones I took away from that book, I can still remember it, is like you want to be an inconsistent leader, which sounds like counterintuitive, but like what gets you motivated and gets you motivated is very different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, and I figured this out a little bit too late in football, where we had like Nathan Fien and Aussie halfbacks come to the Warriors, and they're like, fuck, you just got to treat everyone the same. And like, most of us were from New Zealand, so we weren't naturally used to being competitive against each other, because we were like, we're good, like we'll just all go together. Where he goes, like if he's not doing it right, you spray him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I went for a phase from like 19 to 22 where if things don't go my way, I'm like, fuck you, lazy cunt. And it's like, it feels yuck to say now, but like, that's just how I was taught. Yeah. And then it wasn't until Stacey Jones come back and he goes, no, you got to treat like everyone sort of different. And that's what I learned within that book, where like if you spray an Islander boy, they're not used to authority, because if you get a growling from your parents, what do? You just be quiet, because if you answer back, what happens?
Hiding.
You're hiding. So you know what I mean? So this is why Islander boys struggle to talk to coaches. Like they'll go and they might have something that they want to say, but based off their life that they had, when you're talking to authority and you're responding, it's met with violence, or it's met with like go to bed or shut up, so they can't communicate in those ways. So when I was thinking about that, and like we had like the Islander boys team in there, I was like, nah, like you just got to pat him on the back, like you got to put your arm around him, or you can kick him up the ass. But if you do it to an Aussie boy who's a prop and he's growing up like that, you spray him, he's just going to get better and better. You know what I mean? Where you spray someone who's an Islander boy, I don't know what his upbringing was. Like I've got no context of that. He might associate to a certain time in life. He goes into a shell. So that was so like true. The big takeaway I learned from that. So being an inconsistent leader is a good thing.
Right. Do you know, like, obviously you transitioned into the business world from rugby league. Did you know you were going to go into clothing?
Nah, it was just kind of like the cool thing. And the hard part was like, there was no one around that was doing it, you know, like there wasn't, like you can look at it now and look at us, look at Earls, G'd Up are like massive. So there's like a reference point. I've basically documented the whole journey. So if they wanted to, they could just go back and just copy exactly what they've done. And everyone has basically copied what I've done in terms of content and podcasting, in terms of clothing. But at the time, I just wanted to do what no one else was doing. And a byproduct of that is like you get like, oh, he's the first, or he's like the OG, which is just a byproduct of that. I wasn't trying to do that. I was just like, all their boys that are finishing football are moving into gyms or back to digging holes. I'm like, fuck this, what else? I was like, fuck, there's got to be something else out there. And like, your brain can only process what your eyes can see. So when we're growing up, like my three options were you go work in the mill, where my dad and that work and all my friends work. You go to university or you play football. So I'm looking at those three options. I'm like, fuck, which one's the coolest? I'm going that way. So like when a lot of footballers, and football is very copy and paste, like we all do the same plays or just the same, blah, blah, blah. When I was looking around, there's no one really doing that. And I was like, oh, let's just try and do that. And we'll just figure it out along the way. So like, I don't love clothes. Still don't. But I enjoy building a business that people like to follow, and then as a byproduct of that, they buy the clothes.
That was I can remember from the early days of like how that all started. Like it was pretty much you, Chico, Normie, and I think Blake Leary was there too. Like there was about 4 of you just always going out and just getting on the drink, and I go, look at these dudes having the freaking time of their life. And then like at the end of each post, it used to say, you know the rules. And I go, bro, and it just turned into something big. Is that how you would say it started? Yeah,
it wasn't like strategy. It was just like, but what we found is like we used to go out all the time, but we used to find like our humor at the time was just pay each other out. It was pretty ruthless. Like I wouldn't say some of the shit I used to say now.
It used to be funny, man.
But it was funny. But like we found wherever we traveled in the world, like we had a trip where we went to Bali, then we went to Texas, then New York, and then Vegas and shit like that. We found wherever we went in the world, like people that we didn't know would just start hanging around us and would make heaps of friends just because they loved our banter, and we're pretty easygoing guys at the time. And like Chico's got his laugh that's pretty infectious. And, like, you know what I mean? And like Normie, like everyone always loves Normie because he's like the party guy and he drink for a couple of days, just stuff like that. So we found people just gravitate towards us, and we should just jokingly go, fuck, imagine if we filmed our life. We feel like we'd be like a reality TV show because there's enough shit happening. And then we just kind of just started like filming it. At the time I was into YouTube. I was big on YouTube. Vice documentaries were big. But Nate Robinson had a vlog series called State of Nate. And I was like, this is cool. Like I used to like find myself watching that instead of TV. And at the time, Chico was like Dally M Hooker of the Year. So I was like, I loved filming. I loved camera and I loved filming. And I was just like, fuck, Chico, just let me like vlog you. I didn't even think it was called vlogs then. We should just call them, we'll make a documentary. So like I had a camera at home and I was just filming Chico, and they're still online now. And like there was a game where Chico and Corey play each other, and like we filmed before the game and game day and stuff like that.
Remember that.
But like I watch those edits now, I'm like, fuck, that's some ugly editing. It was like choppy as. I just didn't know what I was doing, but I learned it at the time. And actually the way I learned camera work is that we were at Wakefield. In pre-season, we had to do a video, and like you get put into 3 different teams, and they're picked randomly, and each team has to put a video together and present it to the boys in front of the night, like on a night in front of everyone, and like whoever the loser is, each person that team has to dance for a minute straight, bro. So like you got 10 guys, bro, and he's dancing, and there's like Aussie boys in there, like, do you know Dean Collis?
Yeah.
Remember him? Like he was awkward as, bro. And that was like, for some guys, that was like their worst nightmare as an equivalent of public speaking or something like that. Like dance, and then like no, everyone's like clapping and stuff for a minute, bro. A minute's a long time. So I got named captain of the video thing there, and we put together this video. You know Cole Amor?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's funny, yeah. So like he was the main character. He was
Stories.
like this stories. He was like the funniest guy. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And like one of the rules for the video was like no one's off bounds. So coaches can get taken the piss out of, like the owner. And we had a trainer, his name was Clogger. And he's like this old school Bradford.
Mary used to tell us all these stories. Cracks me up.
Yeah. And then like we put together this video. So we went out the first night we went to France, and then we got sprayed because we weren't meant to be drinking, but none of us really knew, but we kind of knew. Yeah. So we got back, and Richard Agar was our coach, and he was spraying us in front of everyone, and like, we took the piss out of that whole scenario. And this was like 3 days after it happened too. So it was a little bit risky. Yeah. And then we ended up filming this thing, and it ended up being like, it was like a fucking movie, bro, because the amount of detail that was going into it. But for me, it just come naturally, where so we'd reshoot us getting in trouble at the bar. And then so instead of just shooting like a guy coming in like that, like I'd set up a fake security camera up top. So, and then when I'm doing the editing, I'll make it black and white and have the little recording button down the bottom. Yeah. So like, and we had Vince Mellors, he was going like that, like a video camera would. So to me, that stuff just kind of come like naturally. So the coach would walk in, spray us, we'd all shit ourselves and like walk back. And like, I was just thinking of different camera angles like that and fake phone calls. And I spent all night like editing it, and we were playing Catalans for a preseason game. And I was so tired. But we presented it, and I remember the coach at the time, he goes, "Fuck, I think you're in the wrong, like, you're doing the wrong thing," because the way the video was presented was like all time. And I just took it for granted because I was like, oh, I feel like everyone could do this. And then that's how we ended up filming Chico. And then we got to a point where I wasn't always around the boys anymore because I was working from home, and I just started filming myself. And it just kind of just rolled from there, bro.
Do you reckon with the transition from rugby league to where you are now, was it a long process for you to kind of get into what you wanted to do, or did you know while playing you're like, nah, I'm gonna go?
Yeah, more so the second one, bro. Because you know when people go, "Fuck, I miss footy, man." I'm like, "Fuck, I'm the complete opposite. I don't miss a thing about it." Like people ask me to play games and like charity games. I'm like, nah. That's the last thing I want to be doing. But I think that's when I knew that I was on my right path, and I didn't know YKTR was going to succeed or any of the other business ventures or podcasting was going to succeed. I just knew like that looks fun. I'm just going to go do that, and I'm just going to try and not give up until like I get kicked out or like we run out of money or something like that. And that was all it was, bro. I didn't know it at the time. I just like, this is fun. Can get a bit of reaction from it. Started making like a little bit of money, and then just sort of doubled down on that, bro.
Do you know, with like financially, because you know, obviously when you play footy, you got like a set wage, and then you go out of it. Did you have like money banked up before?
I had a little bit. Like I just bought a house, which like scared me because then like I had no contract, and then my house settled. But my mortgage was only like $400 a week or something. But I was making like $450 a week, so I was living off. Like I had savings, bro, and like if I ever struggled, I could ask my mum and dad for money. But I knew I wanted to go through that period on my own because I knew I wasn't going to learn any other way. And I say, if you look at my first vlogs, I'm in my house. It's like a brand new house, and there's clothes everywhere and shit like that. But like I was legit making about $50 a week extra. But I'll just like go supermarket. You got $50. You're a guy, bro. You can get by easy as
Migarines.
Bro, literally migarine, chicken noodles. I'd buy eggs and bread, and that's it. And then black coffee. I wouldn't have brekkie and lunch. I'll just have coffee to get me all the way through. And then at night time, I'd have that meal. And because I was playing by park footy too. And that will give me like a little top up here and there. But that was all I was sort of living off, bro. $50.
How did you manage? Like, how long was that for? How long that process lasted?
So it took me like a year to get my first pay from YKTR. And during that time, I'd work like 16-hour days. I wasn't efficient. I just didn't know what to do. I'd be packing. I'd start building websites. I knew how to do Facebook advertising. So I was doing lots of self-education, really big days in there, but it was all like fun and exciting. And time would go like that. But my first ever pay from YKTR for the year was like $25,000 for the year. So I was like, it was all fuck all money. But at that time, it felt like the most money in the world, bro. And the cool thing about that money was created from a business idea that I'd created. So I remember having negotiations with Chico and Normally, and like, bro, I've got the biggest imposter syndrome because I'd done all the work, but then I would go like, hey boys, like I'm looking to get like paid now. Like how does that work? And I remember saying Norm's like I want to get 25K or something. It was end up being like 450 at the time a week or something, or maybe a bit less. And he goes, well, I feel like guys are going out and like working all day, 12-hour days, and they're getting paid 800, 900. You're just like packing clothes and stuff. I was so cold, bro. And this comes getting paid like 750 to fucking miss tackles in the 3, man. But I remember hearing that, I was like, fuck. But that's just how we like saw it. And then when he saw it, I was like, yeah, bro, like I can build websites. I built like Shopify. I'm doing all the designs. I was probably doing like a couple $100Ks worth of salaries. But I just didn't know what it was because I didn't have anything to measure it off. I was just going, oh, fuck, this is just how it is. And just rolled from there, bro. So, but I remember him saying that so clearly. And like, obviously got paid from that. And then, like, get like a little bit more. And then we got because it was hard, bro. It was hard to have conversations with your best mates about businesses.
Tough combos, bro.
And a lot of the conversations were like, because I was doing all the work, but they had more followings than me. And like we'd all put in like the same amount of money to start off with, and obviously that changed over time. But it was like I had imposter syndrome because everyone used to go, oh, you guys wouldn't sell clothes if you didn't know NRL players. You know what I mean? Or weren't NRL players. So I'd always hear that, and then I wasn't like secure enough in myself as an entrepreneurial business person at the time because I just got in there that I was just like, oh, like they're right, you know. So I used to always like try and over validate. So we'd have conversations of like who's worth more in the business. And they wanted to go thirds, and I go, I just want like a little bit more, not to like power over anyone, but more so just like a pat on the back, you know what I mean? And so our first initial breakdown was like 40, 30, 30. So instead of going 33, 33, 33, I asked for 40, which was 3% more of what they had. And even that like caused like a ruffle. So we ended up getting this guy who negotiates businesses to come in and have a chat, and he kind of smoothed everything out. But after that, it was good. Like we had contracts in place, which was really important, and just sort of rolled from there.
That's hectic, man. Because when you think about it, like when you're creating something together, and then you're like, bro, I'm doing all the mahi, guys.
100%.
It was like, man, I need to get paid.
It gets like that, and then you feel like, damn it, do we need to do this properly? Get contracts sorted, and you know, what's the percentage of each person within this? Like, those are tough conversations.
Especially your first couple. Like, I can go into a convo now and go, because I know what my value is to that room. You know what I mean? Same when you play football. After a while, you know how much you're worth. So. Like if you're worth 250 and someone offers you 100, you can easily say no to that. Where I get crippled by opportunity now with ventures and equity, where if it doesn't align, it's going, nah, I'm good. But when I was younger, I was like, oh, like give me that, and I'll work as hard as I can for it and stuff like that. So once you learn your value over time, it becomes a lot easier. But bro, I remember walking into those conversations, I was like so nervous, man. Like my stomach was about to drop. And like we'd talk because our whole relationship had been built on banter. So we'd never really had too many deep conversations. And then when you start talking about business and money, it's like very different. So when you go into business with your friends, there's two bad parts. There's things when things are going really bad and things are going really good. So when things are going really bad, in theory, we should all put in the same amount of money for it to get back to a good point. Where whenever YKTR used to go bad, I used to just fund it all. You know what I mean? I'd take it out of my back pocket and build this out because it was my mistakes. That wasn't their fault. Even though they're business owners, they should take that. But I always funded it. So I ended up losing like a couple $100K in YKTR over the years. But the other part is when things are going really great, everyone wants to say where's my cut, or like why aren't I getting it? So any advice for anyone getting into business with their friends, always think of what's the best case scenario, what's the worst case scenario, and if we're going into worst case scenario, how do we exit that? And if we're going into great, how do we exit that as well? And we're like, you didn't know this stuff. You just think everything's going to be fine all the time, and you all think you're always going to be best mates. So it was a big lesson that I learned within business. So when I do business now, I always think, if this is going to fail, why is the reason? Like, is there going to be a reason why? And then how would I get out of that? Or how do I like sort of buy that person out? So I learned this through YKTR Sports when like Scope and all that left, because I had no contracts in place and there was no consequence for those boys leaving.
How was that? How was that?
Bro, it was wild. It was wild. It was like it was all my own fault first and foremost. At the time, I didn't see it like that. I was like, oh, fuck this cunt. He's like, he stole this whole idea that I had, and there was like, but it was crazy. Like, I remember about June, YKTR, like everything was flying. It's the most money I ever had. And I was going like, I was a little bit bored, which sounds ungrateful. But I remember writing down bigger goals, and I wrote down all these bigger goals. And literally, when you write down bigger goals, like the universe is going to give you bigger tests.
Yeah.
Now, I heard this really cool quote, and I'm not religious, but they say, like, you ask God for patience. He's not going to give you patience straight away. He's going to give you a test that allows you to get patience over time. Yeah. When I was speaking to Izzy, he said the same thing, where he asked God if he could test him to prove his worth to him and as a man. Then obviously went through all that stuff with like ARU. So that was the same as me. I wrote down the biggest goals I've ever written, and I just wanted to like nail that. And it's kind of a little bit deep, but like from a universal standpoint, there's a thing called polarity, which means like hot, cold, opposites are kind of the same. So you go hate, love, that's still emotion, but it's along the same plane. So if you want to go to the other, you have to go to the other way first. So I'll give you an example. So risk versus reward, those are the opposites. So if you want reward, what are you going to have to do? You have to take risk. So if you only take this much risk and that swings, what's going to happen? You only get a little bit of reward. So if you're willing to risk it all, you're willing to gain it all. So that's a good way to look at perspective. And the other part is like, if you want to expand or get bigger, what do you have to do? Sometimes you have to get smaller. So when I asked the universe for bigger things in life, more money in life, more success in life, the universe tested me like straight away. So you go, you want to be this big, you have to go this small first. And by going this small, it's by getting rid of all the people around you. So ended up getting rid of Simi first. Like it just wasn't working, bro. So Simi and Scope never really got along. I think they're friends now, but like from a content standpoint, so Simi was a super talented guy. Scope was just a really like if you think of this in football analogies, you'll understand this because we know that talented guy that's got all the talent in the world, but he's fucking lazy. And then you look at someone like Scope, who's just like, he'll do his job no matter what. He turns up every single day. The difference between a good game and a bad game isn't too different, and that's what they were like as content creators. So I got to a point where I was like either between Simi and Scope, and I was like, I want to pick Scope because Simi's got more upside, but I know what Scope's going to do and turn up. So we ended up getting rid of Simi. Everyone's bagging me for that online. And then Caleb was our content creator, freak of a content creator. I remember when I met him, he's like 17. Scope brought him in, never had a job before, worked at Macca's. We gave him like his first full-time job. Like blew up, ended up filming for like Andrew Tate. He's had a crazy life, bro.
That's bad.
Had a lot of like mental issues as well, and a lot of those times he put those mental issues on me. And I probably wasn't in a place to like handle him, because I was like trying to run businesses, and it got to a point where he tried to commit suicide. Tried to slit his wrists, and he rang me from his hospital bed one time. And he's like, bro, I've like tried to kill myself and slit my wrists. He goes, I'll be at work on Monday, but can you not tell anyone? So he'd come to work, and then he wasn't really working. I'll be in the office, like looking at him, and like every night, like when he'd leave the office, I'm like, fuck, I hope he don't kill himself tonight. Because I was gonna go like, the Islander ones, like, oh bro, come live with me, like I'll look after you. And one of my mentors, he goes, it sounds ruthless, but he's an employee. You got to support him the best you can, but you also got to keep your distance from, like, you're not his dad. And I remember hearing that, and like your Islander side goes, no, that's not how it works. But like from a business standpoint, I understood why he was saying it. So I ended up doing that, and like we ended up getting him like therapy and stuff like that. But every time he'd leave on Friday, it was always scary because you got 2 days before Monday comes around, and you just don't know what he's going to get up to. So, and then a lot of times I had to carry like that burden. I had no one to share it with because I wanted him to trust me. And like he wouldn't sleep for the night, but he'll come to work and just sleep in my office. And I was happy because like I don't care if I'm paying him as long as he's alive. So we were going through that as well. He was always late. So he was late like 40 times to work.
Damn it.
And I was just like,
punctuality.
It just fixed everything else around like the whole office. Because all the boys are going like, oh, that's not fair. Like you always baby him. So I feel like I had to take on all his like troubles or trauma as well,
Yeah.
and like trying to help him, trying to fix him, but also then trying to run a business at the same time.
Yeah.
And Simi's like in there, he's breaking up with his missus, and he's like in my office.
Good old
Just,
Sim.
bro, I was like I was a counselor, man, and I thought it was
True.
my job to fix everyone else's problems.
Right.
And then we had like Scope and Lukey, who were like the Levels boys now, and they were just like really good and really consistent. And I was like, fuck, these guys, like this is
They're all
it.
good.
Yeah.
So over time, we ended up getting rid of Caleb, but he went on to like kill it. Like he went on to make 100K months and like stuff like that. So I was really proud of him. But that relationship like crumbled for a bit. And same with Simi. Like my relationship with Simi was like gone for about a year. But with Caleb, like I was always worried because in my mind I go, if I fire him and he goes and kills himself, I'm like, fuck, that's something I have to live with for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing it. But he was at a point where like he was ready to leave anyway because like he come into my office and he wanted a pay rise. So he wanted to double his money, but he wanted to do less work. And I was sitting in my office. I was going, like, what? I was just sitting there. I was going, bro, say that again. Yeah. And he goes, oh, like everyone online saying like I should be earning more money than what I am. And you said you're going to do this. And I go, yeah, but Caleb, like, I was trying to explain to him, I was like, bro, you've been late like 40 times. And like, I'm like, we're trying to help you, look after you so you can get in a better position mentally in life. So you can get back to working. And like, we ended up just having this argument because I was angry, he was angry. And then and I go, bro, it's probably not going to work, man. And I was just like, if there's anything I can do to help you and support you, like, that'd be cool. And I think he wanted a way out too. Okay. But he's told me this way, he didn't want to let me down because he'd done so much for me. Yeah. So I think he sort of created that conversation. So it allowed me to sort of like let him go, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which was scary. And like even like the first night I went home, I was like lying in bed like this. I'm like, fuck, I just hope he don't kill himself. Yeah. So I was just lying there like that, and like that was scary. And then we had Jackson, who runs the Warriors media now, Vintage Jackson. Bro, he was the best. Dude. Like the amount of drama he went through in life. Why he moved to Sydney? Like he moved to Sydney just like the nicest Kiwi kid in the world. And he left with a bit more life experience, you know what I mean? Just from being in Sydney and like getting caught up in the sauce. But he went through like marriage breakdowns and dad getting really sick. And he'll still turn up to work every single day and like try his best, you know what I mean? And that was pretty sad too, because we went through the scenario where we thought someone was going to commit suicide. And it was like they rung me to go. Like it was my job to go to the house to knock on the door to see if the person had come through. And I just got back from a night out, bro. So I was a bit scat. Cops are ringing me. I was like, fuck, who's this? Like they kept ringing me, like knocking on my door. I opened the door and like there's cops there like, oh, do you know where this person is? I was like, nah, why? What's happened? And we're like, oh, we think they might have committed suicide. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, and so one of my friends showed me where their house key was. And I was jumping in this Uber, going to this house, thinking like I was going to walk into a suicide. I was like, fuck, it was the longest ride of my life, eh? But I remember it so clearly because I was in the Uber and the Uber driver's going, big night, eh? And I was like, not tonight, man, not tonight.
Not tonight, bro.
But like just going through scenarios like that, bro. And I was like, and you'd see my content at the time, I was like super frustrated and angry. And everyone's like, oh, he's an arrogant cunt. Like he got rid of Simi, he's the best talent. Like Caleb was the best content creator. Like, what's he doing? And I was like, to be fair, I was arrogant at the time and like I was just stressed, bro. And I was just like, had all my walls up, was trying to protect everyone. I thought guys were gonna commit suicide. I thought I was walking into rooms where people would nick themselves. Some of the like Scope would hit me up sometimes, like can't afford to pay rent, I've got baby on the way. Like, here's money. Like I used to pay for everyone's like things. Wow. Drug dealers hitting me up, like this cunt owes me $600, $900. Cool, here's $1,000, like leave us alone. Like we know where your office is. If you don't pay us, we're gonna like, and like that's your own fault for like hiring degenerates. You know what I mean? You hire those types of people, you're gonna get those types of situations, bro. So it was a fucking weird time, and I was just trying to navigate it all. And like people were, I don't know, and we were filming it all too. But if we filmed everything, would have been like Loki, the Kardashians.
Bro, like, because looking at it, bro, like just obviously listening, like looking from outside in, you don't see it. But like listening to it now, it's like, bro, you're carrying all the overheads. Like, what would you do different now?
I've thought about this a lot. So if there's like a blue pool, red pool, and they go like blue pool, how I live now, red pool, just focus on yourself. I'd take that red pool straight away. Yeah. So like at the time, and the reason why I started YKTR Sports is I started podcasting and I started making like really good money from podcasting.
Yeah.
And if I'd stayed in that lane where I just built the clothing company plus the Ice Project and I'd done all the sports media, like I've calculated numbers for, and I could have been almost retired by now if I tracked on that number. But I had this money and I'm like, like Normie was getting sprayed in the media, Chico was getting sprayed in the media. I just want to start a sports media company and start from there. So we brought in Scope. He was a friend of ours for a while. Had nothing going for him, bro. So he got back from Super League, a little bit lost. I knew he was a great dude. I knew he loved sports. I just knew he needed like an opportunity. So we were like, you do American sports, I'll do footy. We'll see how we go. So that sort of transpired, and then COVID come, and then like we used to pair him up against Simi to do content, and then him and Simi started like beefing and not getting along, and then like Finchy come in for a bit. Remember that? Fuck, imagine if that shit happened when he was with us.
I know,
And bro, Finchy walked into my office, and Scope brought Finchy in because Finchy was struggling in life, bro. He had like just got released from Fox. We're like, bro, here's an opportunity. Here's your own podcast. Blah blah blah. And Finchy come into my office. He goes, bro, you said I was going to do the rugby league content. Scope's doing rugby league content at the same time. He's like, you got to pick one of us. And I'm like, yeah, I'll pick Scope. So he ended up leaving, going on Bloke in the Bar, doing all that sort of stuff. But like that was a nightmare in itself. You know what I mean? Like the amount of drama that used to happen behind the scenes with Lukey, the little editor. Everyone, like, I don't know, it was just frantic all the time, bro. And obviously he was going through all his own shit. But once we got rid of that, but it was weird because Scope had brought him in, you know what I mean, and given him opportunity, and then he's going, no, you got to pick between me and Scope. And I was like, Scope. But I didn't tell Scope that till like maybe about a couple months later. And Scope's cruising. Oh man, it is what it is. But yeah, like at its peak, bro, when I was flying, it was flying, and then like we got Mason. So hard thing about Scope was like he didn't really want to do gambling content anymore. He had some issues in his personal life where he didn't want to like do gambling. So we created a show where like we just spend my money on gambling, and which was good and it worked out really well. And then we're like, I was kind of running out of ideas for Scope of what he could do. And then we just started like the weekly YKTR sports show, which is kind of levels now. And we're just like, let's just talk about football every week and we'll get some ad spend from that. So we end up getting ad revenue for those podcasts. And then Simi had a podcast called Grouse and a Few Reds. And then they put out that trans comment on TikTok. That went viral. Basically, YKTR is almost getting cancelled. The boys are getting death threats. All of the Islanders back home hate Scope. And all our ad revenue had gone like that, bro, from all our shows. So from like June to December, none of our podcasts were making money because we had this like bad stain on us. So, and that was another reason why we got rid of Simi, but that affected like the sports show and stuff as well. And I always knew Scope was a great guy. So I was like, I'm just going to stick by you no matter what. We got rid of Simi. We got rid of Caleb. So I put Scope onto a full-time wage. And then we put Scope on full-time wage. And he's like, bro, it's the best time. Like, I'm having a baby too. And then just me being me, like, I was like, fuck. I thought that was my problem to like, I need to make Scope as successful as possible because he's going to be a great dad, which he is. Like when he brought his kid in, how proud he was of his kid. But I used to think like those issues were my issues for some reason. I don't know why. I just want everyone to be successful because I was doing really well. I just wanted that for everyone else. And then he told me that, but like none of his podcasts were making money at the time. So I was just paying his wage out of like my own money, like my own savings. Because I knew once football season come around and we had Mason at the time, we weren't even paying Mace at the time. We got to the end of the season and Scope's like, bro, like Mace is killing it. We just got to be careful no one else poaches him. Bro, just give him like some cash. I was like, yeah, cool. I gave him like 5K cash. And Mace like, bro, you don't have to do that. Thank you very much. I was like, cool, we're sweet. So once the new season come around, I thought we were going to be cool. And Scope's baby was coming through in November. And we were running out of money at YKTR because all our money was in clothes. It just happens in business. You'd understand this, where sometimes you just run out of money. And I took a pay cut. Like I didn't get paid for like 3-4 months. I had savings, which was all good. And Natasha, Dean's partner, she's been with me since day dot, still with me now. She was flying back home to help me to run the business, 2 kids, and I made her take like pay cut as well, just half her wage, just so we could fund Scope's Christmas, you know what I mean? And like people don't really know about that stuff where we're like, because I said to Tasha, like, I'm not letting Scope wake up on Christmas Day without any money in his pocket for his first daughter's birthday.
You're the man, bro.
So, and we never told Scope about this until like after. And then New Year comes around, cool money starts coming in. We get this massive deal from Dabble. It'll be like over maybe about 20-25K a month for just one podcast. We just had to rock up, showed Scope the deal. I was like, hey, this is the deal. But I'm just letting you know, like, we've funded like your wage for the last little bit. I'm just going to back pay my pockets first. And then after that, it's kind of like all yours. And then that was like 2 weeks before the season started. And then literally like a couple of days later, walked in and he's like, bro, I'm off.
True.
Yeah, bro.
Because I remember, man, I honestly, like, there was a period where, like, I was following the the rules journey. Then obviously, like you said, it went real messy. So then, like, I distanced myself from there just watching it. But then when that started up again, it gets, these guys are actually fucking funny, you know? Started watching it up again, and then, bro, and that's when it all happened.
Yeah, it was crazy, bro.
Did he take the check then?
No, he didn't. But like, the hard part was like, because the way Levels is now, in my opinion, I still think it's the best rugby league podcast because I think the dynamic between Scope and Mace is like awesome. And when I first saw it at YKTR Sports, because I was on the show at the start, I'm like, I don't need to be here anymore. I can pull myself out, and those boys can do it because they're so much better than I was at it. Because I didn't even watch footy. Like, I like it, but like, I'm not going to watch every single game. And they had the dynamic, and I knew they were going to kill it. But where I sort of fucked up on that is like I didn't have any contracts in place. So types of contracts I should have had in place were non-competes. So we'd spent 2-3 years building Scope up to get to the point where he was. I'd like lost 6 figures on YKTR Sports because I knew it was going to work eventually. And it has. Like, if you look at Levels now, it's a great product. They're killing it. That was kind of the same thing to me. But like, I just didn't have any contracts to protect myself. So in theory, I go, all right, Scope, this is what we're going to do for you. And he had a really good deal. Like, he was paid full time. He got 20% of all the merch he created, 40% of all ad revenue he'd get, 80% of any endorsement deals that we'd get for him. So an example of this is the last day before he left, my friend Jade LaFlay, she was running the events at the Sky City, and so we had 10K, and they wanted to give Scope 5K, Mace 5K, just to rock up and watch the Super Bowl. Pretty good deal, eh? So Scope would get 4,000 of that, would get 1,000. And then anything outside of that, say he jumped on SEN or he was on Bloke in the Bar or Hello Sports, he keeps 100% of that. So when people were going, oh, you need to pay like the boys, like, he was, in my opinion, he was paid very well for what he did. And the opportunity to earn more money was never, it was up to him. You know, the more sponsorships we get, the more events you can pop up to, like, it's up to you. There's ceilings. There's no ceiling on your earning capacity. It's up to you. So, like, all that sort of stuff happened, bro. And then I remember, like, the day it all happened. So Lukey walks in, and he was kind of like my right-hand man for ages, and he's with the Levels boys now. Like, he walks in, like, crying, and I had a feeling he was going to leave, so it didn't surprise me. And he goes, oh, bro, like, I'm just going to go try something else. I just want to do, like, something new. Like, been here for 3-4 years, and he was awesome for us, to be fair. And then, like, he left, and like, so he come in, he started crying, said he was leaving, and I went for a piss, and I come back out, and Scope was like sitting in my office, and I go, oh, bro, just letting you know, like, Lukey's gonna leave, like, we just have to find you guys a new producer. And then he just goes, oh, bro, I'm out too. And I was like, oh, like, where you going? And this was the thing that fucked me off at the time, is like, he was never honest about where he was going. Like, if he goes, bro, like, Tabs come in and they've offered me X amount of money, I've got a family now that I need to look after. I would have hated to hear it at the time, but I would have respected it. You know what I mean? Where he's got, like, he was sitting in there, he goes, oh, I just want to try something new. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Like, stuff like that, which, like, frustrated me. And the thing that hurt me the most, bro, he goes, oh, I've got someone who believes in me. Bro, and just that one line, bro, like, fuck, that broke me, bro. Like, out of everything that he ever done, like, that was the one line that broke me, because, like, the way I saw it, when he come back, had nothing going for him. We invited him into our house, our brand that was already built. Like, we built up his following. Like, we created everything. And it wasn't even about, like, if he got more money, I was going, bro, go. I respect that. 100%. But it's like, bro, I got someone who believes in me. And then literally, like, 2 weeks later, like, fully sponsored podcast, new show, blah, blah, blah. And he can say something different, but the way I see it is, like, I feel like those boys were making those moves, like, for a while. Because it's hard to start a podcast like that.
Do you reckon you couldn't see it? Like, obviously, being in that place. Did you feel it at the time, knowing that?
Have you seen that shot when Steve met James? Bro, that's what it felt like. And like
That was
everyone,
a big shot, man.
yeah,
Poor Tyrrell.
bro, that's what it felt like. Like the blind side I got from that was like, and that's like lack of self-awareness and that's poor business management on my behalf, because I should know these about like the guys that I'm hiring, you know what I mean? So it's like all my own fault, but at the time, bro, fuck, it hurt, eh?
It does happen in business though. Like you feel like sometimes where you feel like you're doing something really well, and like, you know, then they get like the whispers from the outside world, like the social media and all that, and they all just play their part. Man, you guys should be getting this, and then it plays on their mind,
Bro, 100%.
and that's what happens,
Yeah,
bro.
and like all those besides Scope, because like he'd been a football player, so he'd been recognised. All the other boys that had come through, like, we'd built all their brands up, which I'm like proud of. That had a skill set that could change their lives. You know what I mean? And they've all gone on to make more money and do those like types of things, bro. But that was like a big part of it, where like you're building everyone else's brand up, but you're not like protecting your own brand, or you're not protecting yourself through contracts. Then that's when things start to get messy.
Yeah,
Bro, what an experience though.
yeah.
Oh, best.
We were talking about risk and reward.
You
You took the risk, but I feel like, I don't know, listening now, I feel like you were the dad, bro.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
looking after everyone, man.
And that was it, bro. Like I was saying before, I was paying guys rents, I was fixing guys' cars, like, you know, and shit like that. Like, I reckon I would have gave away like 30, 40K worth of my own money to like different friends and boys during that time. Because in my mind, I'm like, I have to help these guys because they're going to help me get to the next point.
Yeah.
Instead of me just trying to level up and then hang around people that are smarter than me or more successful than me. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm like moving in such a different way where I was like, fuck, let's grab these boys and let's all go together. And then if I'm operating at that over 2-3 years, those boys get the same level as me because I was showing them everything. This is how you do it. I was open about money. I was open, if you guys want to be successful, this is what you do. So they get to a point where they almost see as eye level, you know what I mean? So and they're just like, oh, we'll just go do our own thing. There's no consequence for us leaving. We might lose a friendship, but the upside of lose one friendship or gain a bunch of money, very different things. You know what I mean? So, and like everyone's values are different. Like we look in this room, we all see this room in a different way. She sees it as a new studio. You guys see it as a place to work. I'm like, shit, I could probably build a podcast studio in the next couple months. Like we see everything through a different lens. And it took me a while to understand that with Scope, where like probably for about 6-12 months, I was like, fuck that cunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like that. And then like, you know, like you get a girlfriend, like I had a girlfriend at the time. I was like, oh, I could picture my life with that.
Yeah.
And I've never had a kid before, bro. So I can't tap into that experience of like, imagine looking at a kid and they're looking up at you and like, shit, I have to provide for this. I've never had that experience. So even though people were telling me that, I was like, oh, like I can't relate to that. But I got a dog. I'll do anything for my dog. If he had a dog, I'd be sweet. But like, I've got no bad will against Scope now, and he's a great guy, bro. Because I was loud early, bro, and I was gonna do some fucking mad petty shit early on because they hadn't trademark levels. I was gonna trademark it and just like some mad childish shit like that. Like I know guys that can like wipe Instagram accounts and stuff like that. But it was consuming so much of my energy. I was sitting here on days of like, how can I get these guys back? Because I will get them back. And Scope at time, like I knew Scope's financial situation. I was like thinking like, how can I get him to a point where like I can almost bankrupt him? But the thought of him bringing his child into work and seeing how proud he was of his daughter, every time I tried to do it, I just like couldn't. Like there was something inside me that I was going. But that's a battle of like. Good guy, back, like devil, angel, ego. Like, in my mind, I was saying all these things that I wanted to do and I was going through the process of it. But when I thought about Scope and like our 15-year friendship before that, like I knew he was a great guy. I knew he was going to be a great dad and a great partner. And like even after he'd hurt me, I just still couldn't hurt him properly. I wanted to, don't get me wrong, I really wanted to, but I just couldn't do it, man. And even like money would come through that was owed to him. So there'd be like 5-10K payments coming through that we owed him. And I was just like, nah, fuck that. I'll give Mace the money and I'm not giving him the money. And then I heard like they were struggling for money. I was like, fuck, just give it, man. I can make another 5-10K. Who cares?
That's good. So what's it like now, man? Like what's the circle like? You moved up to the Gold Coast. I know you've got something in the pipelines, but you probably won't share it. But like, what's the rules at the moment look like?
So like brands go through cycles, bro. So we've gone through a 7-year cycle, and that's usually the normal cycle of fashion where like when we started, things that were cool then are coming back cool now. But you go through phases of brands where like you're the hottest brand,
Yeah.
and then you can't be cool forever.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. So when we were at our peak, like we'd drop clothes and make like maybe 300K in like 10 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
So our clothes were just flying so quick.
Yeah.
You think that's just going to last forever.
Yeah.
And then if I'd stayed in that clothing route, would be in a much bigger position. But I try to do that YKTR sports route.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you're not as cool anymore. And that's where we're at a point now where we have to go through a rebrand.
Yep.
Because like you said, when you watch us when we were younger, we were kind of like aspirational, almost like what's that American show called? Entourage, where you looked at us and there was 4 guys cruising around the world partying, and young guys who looked up to us at that time for those types of things were like, we'll buy the brand because that, you know, and when we're partying and traveling, like young guys look up to us. You get into your 30s, your perspectives on life changes. So we don't want to be known as like the guys that party and gamble and stuff. Like I turned down big gambling money because I know Islander boys and Māori boys look up to me through my voice. I don't want to be the person who's positioning gambling. You know what I mean? So,
100%.
but it's like we're going for a rebrand now. I won't explain it too much. But it suits who we are and where we want to be, and it's something that we'll be proud of. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We've got investors into YKTR as well. Got this dude Worth Mozza, basically just goes, well, back here to the hills.
No, it's good, man. It's good. It's good seeing like, you know, your socials at the moment. It looks nice and clean. You're like in the fitness now, man. Lifting some heavy weights there, bro.
Just need to drop the gut, man.
Love watching it, man. I goes, man. Remember a couple of weeks ago you were pumping out the 50s, and I go, holy 50s, let's go. Nah, it's good, man. It's good to see you on that path, bro. Because I feel like I feel like you probably were up for that change. You needed that change, eh?
Yeah,
Tighten
for sure.
the circle a bit.
And like when you're growing up, like how many Islander like businessmen did you know?
No,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Me neither. So like I thought business was for like white people, you know what I mean? Like because I saw successful white people, and even though I'm a half white and I'm like proud to be that, like I'm like, oh, this isn't for us. So even like when I first started business, like I used to go in rooms, bro, I used to see like the biggest imposter syndrome in the world because like there was no one that was kind of brown or moldy in those types of rooms. But I'd sit in those rooms and have those conversations with people when I could hold my own.
Yeah.
And over time you get like a bit more confident, and then they start asking you questions. But one thing you learn about like really successful people, they don't talk about themselves too much because they want to get as much out of the situation as possible. But they were asking me questions all the time. I go, but saying all this random shit. And I will leave the room. But they gave me confidence to feel like I belonged in that room. But then when I started hanging around more successful people, they're like, the more successful ones don't talk as much. They ask all the questions because they want to leave the room learning something small, bro, 100%. And getting a little bit better that day. So like that was cool too. But like people always say it, and I think I still get like a little bit of imposter syndrome from it, where like people will see me as a reason why they start businesses or why they move through there. But I think I just got to embrace that role, and that was a big part of me turning down gambling money. Is like, fuck, the money's nice. Like, don't get me wrong, but like I'd start to make the content and it'd feel yuck to me, bro. It was like I'd get guys send me like 5-10K bet slips of bets I'd made up in about 3 minutes. I'd just go, Angus Crichton anytime try score out. I wasn't even thinking, bro. And I'll just like go, hey, this is the bet. And I was getting paid good money to say that type of thing. And the big one that used to hit me was like, oh, my kids are going to be eating noodles this week. And we used to joke about it. And like, I know, like the same, I don't have kids, bro, so I can't relate to that shit. And I eat noodles. I like noodles. But like, I'd put up bets and people send me massive bet slips, or people go, oh, if this doesn't come through, my kids aren't eating this week. And always are like Islander and Māori boys. I'm like, I just don't want to be that dude.
Bro, I reckon you should be proud of yourself, man. You've made a massive impact on not just like the footy boys, but Polynesians everywhere, man. Like everyone talks about it, man. They're like, bro, have you seen Ice's thing? Like even living in France for the last 5 years. Guys are talking about you over there, bro. Like it's amazing, man. Where like globally online where you are.
It is crazy. I remember I was on a scooter in Rome and I was going past like the Colosseum and stuff, and like people like shouting my name, and I was like, what the fuck is
that's right.
And the hard part is like you forget how far your influence can go. So we do this podcast, like we just cruise off. It comes out in a week. She presses enter online and it goes out, bro. And you just don't know who's it's going to affect, or the one thing you could say, like, you know what I mean? So I think I'm I don't fully comprehend the influence that I can have, but I think it's starting to click a little bit more where I'm a little bit more thoughtful in the things that I say. Where I used to just like party and like count phones out. Like, hey,
What's that place in Coogee?
Little Jack Corner with Bully K, bro.
Yeah, bro, all the time, man.
Yeah, it was a good
These
time,
guys,
man. Shout out Bully.
Yeah.
But like like you start drinking now and like it affects your life from like Monday to to Wednesday, bro. I got a fucking hangover on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So and like you guys got kids and like the big part I'm thinking about now, and I was talking to Lexi about this is like. You want to be like a positive influence as a man, so other men can like look up to you. And it's not perfect, bro. Like honestly, because I give out so much Q&A advice, and like I can talk on a podcast and talk sweet and say some cool analogies and stuff like that. But fuck, my life ain't perfect too. You know what I mean? Like I struggle in relationships. Yeah. I can communicate well and be vulnerable as a person, but like when I've got a partner, she's asking me to do certain things, like walls come up, like shit like that. So I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm fucking perfect because I'm not. But like I'm trying, man. I'm just like trying my best to be like the best version I can be of myself and trying to learn as much as I can. So that's all I'm trying to do, bro.
No, that's awesome, bro.
What about the people back home? Like how's back at Tokoroa?
Bro,
like,
it's cool. It's cool. I went back there. My best mate, like his mum and dad passed away this year. It's like one of the great love stories. Like he passed away and she died basically from a broken heart. Yeah. And like I thought that was magical. Yeah. Obviously a little bit different when you're losing your parents, but I went back during that time and like we're drinking around the grave. Yeah. And it was one of the reasons why I moved up here was because I was back around all my mates that I grew up with, and I forgot like the beauty of like a small town. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like there's downsides of small towns because like God. We were talking about before, there's heaps of gossip up here. Like I've been here for a week and I'm part of some of this gossip. I'm walking into rooms and like people aren't talking to me. I'm like, I don't even know you.
Small town,
but my mum used to always tell me this straight away. She goes, good news travels fast, bad news travels faster. Yeah. True, and like that's social media. So you think the world's this big, but social media has made the world this big. Yeah. So I always think about that when I'm doing stuff online. But when I went back home, I would just really recognize like the beauty of small towns and like friendships. Like I'm still best mates with the guys I grew up with. Yeah. I'm lucky Quade lives in Gold Coast and he's been my best mate since we were 3 or 4. Yeah. Beauty part of that friendship is it's not transactional. Like Sydney's a very transactional place where like where you meet someone, it's like what can I get out of you? Yeah. There's always an exchange there. There's like or like Simi's I always say this to Simi, like he values his friends on like how much money they have or followers they have. Yeah. Because the reason I know this is because when he goes, oh bro, that's thing, he's got X amount of followers, or that's the first thing he says, bro. That's hectic. That's all he says. And I was like, bro, like that's doesn't matter. Like and that's why he bounces around different crews. But that is very much Sydney. So I went back home. I spent heaps of time up here. My ex-girlfriend, one of the best things she's taught me is like how to be a better person. And I'm still learning. Like still got bad elements of ego about me, but the amount of effort they put into their friendship group was like nice to see. And it was weird for me that I thought it was weird that they put so much effort into their friends. And then I went back home and I was hanging around my mates and like, bro, like small things, bro. Like, bro, come over for like a cup of coffee, talk. So good, you know what I mean? Or like unloading something. Oh, bro, do you want me to come over and like help you unload? Like, and it's like, bro, it's the most basic shit in the world. But I've been away from it for like 10 years. That I forgot how nice it is, bro. Yeah. Or just linking up for like feed and coffee, or like us training the other day. That's because when we're younger, like linking up is like go to the pub. You know what I mean? And you think about drinking and exercise, it's very similar because when you drink, there's an endorphin hit that comes into your body. So naturally, you're more excited or you're more expressive or you talk. Same thing happens with exercise. But you just have to work a little bit harder for exercise for that endorphin hit to release. And then after that 3rd, 4th set, it feels like you had a couple of beers and you're more open to talk about things. And I think it's important for us men because like we're meant to be the like protector, and for us to protect, we've always got this guard around us, bro. Yeah. And people say that they can be vulnerable with their partner. I've never experienced that, but I think there should be a place where you can be vulnerable as a man.
100%.
Yeah, so 100%. I feel like that's important.
No, it's good, man. Like I can vouch for the fitness side of things. I feel like sometimes, when you're in that environment of like that drinking culture, bro, like you feel like you have to like just drink just to show your personality. But I fitness is, bro. That's where I excel now.
And do you know the good thing about fitness is, bro? Like, you talk to dudes that you never normally talk to, bro.
Yeah.
I've met so many guys, but like when I'm in your footy circle, like I'll go, fuck, I'll never talk to that dude. You know what it's like? Because you think like we play NRL, so we're like cooler than that crew over there. But the amount of successful people, just very nice people that I met during the gym, and I've just partnered up with just a random person, and like, fuck, they're cool. I was like, I would go hang out with that dude. I think footy fucks you a bit, eh?
Yeah,
I reckon it does.
It does, man.
You don't realise it's
not a great culture at the moment.
What was your biggest takeaway from football, transitioning into this next phase of life?
Nah, for me, I just felt like I know when I came back from the Super League, I felt so empty. Like your teammates, where are they now? You know what I mean? And then sort of lost a bit of my identity as well. Like, you know, keeping in touch with the real ones and the close ones. So I struggled with that. So it's just like just trying to find that tight knit group again. That's probably my biggest problem. Because I feel like I'm resilient enough to like get over the tough hurdles in life. Like fitness has played a big part. Love it. Just playing a big part in like me with my mental health and all that. That's for sure.
Do you struggle with mental health?
No, I don't. I don't reckon I do, but I just feel like that's my dopamine hit to like get me going every single day. Like we 5 a.m.ers, man. Yeah. You know, we have to. If I sleep until 6 a.m., I just get, damn, I need to do something. I've got to do something. You know.
So if you think about a lot of friendships, they're very situational. So like your partner might go to work and she's got a work friend bestie, but like if those people stop working together, they're not really truly friends. If you think about that, it's the same with sports, bro. So it's easy to be friends with guys in sports because collectively we're working towards a similar goal, and that's why we're friends and we're on the same time schedule and we're on the same days off. So it's easy to connect. But once you take away that situation, like, are you actually truly friends? So one of my mates was telling me about that, and it made me change my perspective about a lot of things. Because like as you get older, your friendships groups get smaller and smaller. Your time doesn't get any less. It might get with kids, but you start to spend more time with those types of people. 100%. And that's what I was fucking up, and I was like, oh, business, let me make that amount of money. And I forgot about all my friends, bro. Like some of my good mates, I couldn't even tell you what their kids' names were. Like I felt embarrassed by saying that. So like I try my hardest to spend time with my friends, and like they might have a 1-year-old kid, and like the conversations about the kid the whole time. Like I can't relate to that, you know what I mean? And the kid's running around and like, fuck, where's the shoe gone? Like it's not like a deep conversation because I like deep conversations, but I know they appreciate the effort of me driving out to them and having bringing them lunch or some shit like that. And then that makes me feel good. So like that's a big one for me. Where do you struggle outside of footy?
I think knowing that I was going to finish. So that's probably why I went overseas and I stayed there for that long. Because I was kind of
for a while,
milking the cows, bro. Till the wheels fall off, bro.
I think, like, you know, when you finish NRL, then when I flew overseas and we stayed there, I was only supposed to be there for a couple of years. But then after that, I was kind of milking the cows, and then I was kind of trying to figure out what I want to do. Because I'm lucky, my wife's backed me on everything, you know, and obviously having kids, and obviously being the provider. In my mindset was like, my mindset's always been like, I gotta whatever I have to get, like whatever I'm gonna get, I'll get it. Like I'll make sure I'll get it just so I can feed my kids or you know, look after my wife and stuff like that. So I always had that mindset. I'm a go-getter. I'll go get it.
So were you scared about finishing the actual game of like rugby league, or just like moving into something else?
Moving into something else.
Yeah.
So I always loved property. I think I spoke it a couple of times with my buddy. Like I love property, but wasn't sure where I wanted to go with property. So I jumped into this development course, paid X amount of dollars for it. I kind of learned about, like the last 4 years, I kind of did it, but I was doing it away while I was playing footy. And then coming back was to accept that I'm not playing footy anymore. So I got no income coming in. I had to go obviously find a job and start doing it. But for me, I didn't want to work 9 to 5. So I always had that mindset, I'm not working 9 to 5 stuff. That.
Do you reckon guys struggle like when they stop providing, they feel like less of a man? That's the big one.
That is the big one.
It's hard to admit, bro. Because to be fair, I've never had to provide. But like I think about that, and like even like when YKTR was fucking up, and I'd look down, bro, and I'd see all the boys in the office. I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I can pay these boys this
Yeah,
week. Like,
yeah,
I'll
true.
find a way. Like, I'll just pull money out of
Yeah.
my savings and pay them because I knew they had that.
Yeah.
And because I was failing in that, I don't feel like a man. Like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm a provider.
Yeah.
True.
It was, and I could never admit it at the time.
Yeah.
But fuck, it was an empty feeling, man.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's funny, like when you go through times like that, something always pops up, something happens?
Oh, it's meant to
Yeah,
happen,
it's
bro.
meant to happen,
That's
hey?
the big thing, bro. Whenever there's fuck ups, it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta. But the thing is, bro, and this is what I've realized is like, the longer you blame someone else,
Oh, yeah.
the
Gets worse.
it gets worse,
Yeah.
bro. So like, YKTR, I blamed Scope for like a full year. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck that cunt. But then I was like, oh, it's probably my fault. And then as soon
Yeah.
as I said it was my fault, bro, opportunities start popping
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
in different areas, bro.
Yeah.
So
You reckon the clouds like kind of released out of your shoulders?
You just
when-
gotta accept-
when you accepted it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just got to accept it. Like, once you accept your own reality
Yeah.
and where you are, like where your feet are, like I love that saying, like be where your feet are. Like then you can start to like look towards the future. Because I was always going like that. I was looking back. Like, man, fuck this coming.
Oh, man.
Nah, that's
Um,
awesome, man.
But the hard part is, and I was talking about this with one of my mates, and you guys will understand this being in relationships, is like there's a point where like you leave it for too long and it's too hard to reconcile. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like I miss having Scope as a friend.
Yeah.
And there's times I've gone to like message him because we used to have all these like internal jokes and stuff. I see stuff on TV that reminds me of him, and I normally text him about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's got to a point where it's like so long where like you almost have to stand your ground. And I seen a meme the other day. There's a fine line between being the bigger man and a pussy. And it's like you know when you're in relationships and like you might be angry with your partner and you argue straight away, but you don't reconcile it within that first day or two.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
got to stick your ground down because
bro.
it's too far
Stay
gone.
strong. Stay strong.
Yeah. So there's always that fine line, bro.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
it sucks, but like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like because I feel like my values as a man, like loyalty and respect and like manners, was things I grew up. My parents teaching me,
Yeah.
or the older guys in my town. Like that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Like we grew. We were talking about this the other day. Like we grew up in a town where it's so small that everyone knows where everyone lives. So like if there's or if they don't know where they live, they'll jump on Facebook and go, where does this person live? And my best mate Tom's was telling us a story where one of the boys is big pig hunting in there. So you have to have a permit to go pig hunting.
Yeah.
And one of the boys was on one of my friend's dad's land. He's like, oh, bro, you can't be here. And he goes, bro, fuck off. Like, I can pig hunt wherever I want.
Yeah.
So the dad told the son, and then my mate Paddy and Tums went over to the house. Oh, no, sorry, just a different story. One of the boys got jumped in a nightclub, and then they know where the boys live. So next morning they go over, like knock on the door, like, bro, come out, or we're coming in. And Tums and that went up to the front door, and they knocked on the door, come out, and the guy come out with a crossbow.
Oh, no.
Bro, like, so he comes out with a
Moldy
crossbow, and then my mate's running down the street going like zigzags. He's like going zigzag just in case he doesn't get shot. But like, it's one of those towns where like it's so small, like, and if you don't fight, your reputation kind of goes from that as well.
Yeah.
Or if you get blind shot, next day you go over and find that dude. It's a weird town, man. Like when you think about it like that.
Do you miss it or what?
I miss yeah, of course. Like I could never live there again.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but there's beauty in anywhere you grow up.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up, St. Clair?
It's all, you still identity, St. Clair, bro.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like if someone had never been there before and looked at St. Clair, like fuck that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you grew up there, so your childhood's there, and you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, this is
Nah,
nice.
all sweet, man. That was good. It was good times when we were young.
Bro, we appreciate having you,
Yeah,
man.
man,
But before we usually share with our potty, want to share a message or advice to our
Man, I know you got a lot of key
You
messages.
got heaps of key messages, man.
I'll give you this one. This is the core philosophy I love of in life. So like your day starts and ends on the pillow.
Yeah.
So the key part of life for me is like, are you excited when you wake up every morning?
Mm.
Yeah.
And if you're not, something needs to change. And
Yeah.
the second part is when you go to sleep, make sure you got a peaceful mind. So be excited about when you wake up and what you're doing and who you are as a man and as a provider. But when you go to bed, like don't fuck anyone over because there's nothing worse than a bad night's sleep. That's my whole core philosophy in life. Am I excited to wake up? If I'm not, I'm going to change.
Yeah.
If I'm not excited about my life now, I'll do something about it eventually. And then when I go to sleep at night, I'm not trying to fuck anyone over.
I love that,
Yeah,
bro.
I love it.
That's
Nice.
mad. That's
Nice,
guns,
good,
bro.
man. Man, we appreciate your time, bro.
Yeah,
I
we're
know it's
grateful, bro.
hey, we're grateful, man. It's good.
Grateful,
Finally
man.
got the ice on the show. Hey,
Sweat
man,
for- sweat for our
man,
kid.
love it, man.
Yeah, he's on some killer.
Yeah. Bah, like look at this man. Back in the day, man.
5
When was
years
this?
ago.
When was this released?
Probably about 5 years ago, I
Yeah.
reckon.
Good material, still guns, you know.
Yeah, it's all good.
Now, grateful for you, man.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Nah, thanks,
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much, bro. You're the man.